And Dr. Ford said no, and Dianne Feinstein respected it. Now, because she did that, our Republican friends are accusing her of manipulating. Manipulating what? Dr. Ford's desire to keep this private? And we heard what Dr. Ford said. She wrestled with deciding whether to go public. She knew the damage it would create for her family, for her life, her very life. But she decided she had an obligation to come forward. She decided she had to. I believe her. A large number of Americans believe her. But even if you don't believe her, and you choose to believe Judge Kavanaugh, don't demean Dr. Ford, which is exactly what you're doing. It's a shame. It's a low point in a headlong rush to get somebody whose views are out of touch with the American people, who would, in all likelihood, greatly limit women's health care and women's right to choose, who would greatly constrain health care, who would allow the president to this overreaching president to overreach with no constraint. Dr. Ford seems to be a casualty along the way in terms of the name-calling, the nastiness, and the viciousness. Now, they don't say it's Dr. Ford, but make no mistake about it. It's her they're talking about, because it was only she who brought all of these things up, not Democrats. Democrats didn't put words in her mouth. These came from the heart. Now, I'd make three final points about the documents that have been released late last night. First, we Democrats had many fears that this would be an all too limited process that would constrain the FBI from getting the facts. Having received a thorough briefing a few minutes ago, our fears have been realized. Our fears have been realized. This is not a thorough investigation. According to Dr. Ford's lawyers, and that's very hard to do, and there's a lot of documents. There's only one copy of these documents. Why weren't there 10 copies in that room? What the heck is going on here? But it's just a pattern of limiting access to facts, limiting access to truth, limiting access to what the American people ought to know. And so I reiterate my call, particularly after receiving a briefing about what the documents contained, that they be made public. Obviously, there has to be appropriate redactions, and there should be, to protect the privacy of those who were interviewed. But there's no reason on God's green earth that those documents can't be made public. Let the American people decide. Leader McConnell said from the very beginning, to the effect he's going to rush this through, starting with not releasing documents, followed by constraints from our Senate Republican colleagues on what should be, on limitations on the FBI's ability to do the new background check, all the way to this morning with one document in that room. The White House and the Republican side here in the Senate has attempted to rush this through, regardless of the facts. It's wrong. It jaundices relationships between the sides in this body, which we all want to be better. It hurts the agencies involved, the reputation of the FBI, and above all, it hurts the Supreme Court and the American people. Make no mistake about it once again. If this process had been open and fair, maybe the outcome would be different, maybe it wouldn't, who could tell? But at least there'd be some respect for the process. That hasn't happened, and that is very bad for this body, for the Supreme Court, and for these United States of America. I yield the floor.